Hey, greetings, Performance Reviews, where I give the review from the technician's point of view. And today we're going to do a review on the Kirby Avalir. Now this could be the Avalir 1, Avalir 2. This could really be a Kirby G3 that was made all the way back in 1989. Or it could be the new Avalir Platinum. They are all basically the same. There have been some very minor updates over the years, but this is basically the same vacuum we've been making since 1989. And that is going to show in this review. It's not that I don't know how to use this. You'll see in the technical tutorial that I'm very familiar with this, and you can look at other videos on my YouTube channel. I have a lot of experience with Kirby's, and I think they have a little bit of a charm behind them, but they are not modern in any way, and that's going to show in this review because it has a lot of deficiencies. The next part about this review is if you have a Kirby salesperson in the house, kick them out, get them the hell out of there. They don't belong. Don't pay that for one of these things. If you really have to have a Kirby, check out my video on the used Kirby market because you can pick one of these up for next to nothing. So with that being said, we're going to have kind of eyes through consumer of this is a $2,400 MSRP on this vacuum. First thing I'm going to do is just kind of show you a tour of the features and what is what. Then we're going to get into kind of a sound test. I'm going to go in the shop. We're going to show you what's inside. We're going to talk about some of the chronic problems that are well known with Kirby. And then we're going to do a pickup test and talk about accessories and things like that. So stay tuned for the whole review. There's going to be a lot of information in this. So as far as what's here, it's very basic. You've got a nice 35-foot cord, so you do have a nice long cord. That is a good thing. You have a carry handle here and a carry handle here, and you are going to need those because this is a beast of a machine. In fact, I suspect most people of smaller stature are going to have to pick this up with two hands. This thing weighs about 25 pounds. Give or take, depending on the exact variant of this machine. The thing I do want to mention right away is this is a bagged vacuum, and there are a few different versions of these bags. Unfortunately, they have stopped making the charcoal bag, but they do make a HEPA version of this bag. So it is supposed to be fairly high filtration. As you know, this is a dirty air machine, which means it's blowing everything into the bag. One of the known chronic problems is that this bag hose tends to get holes in it, which can cause it to leak dust. I guess the other thing we should mention is there is a side vent right here that is constantly circulating dust right where the agitator kind of agitates it, so filtration is not the best on this just because of its design being so much older than a bypass machine. Let's address the elephant in the room, which is how the heck do you get the tools on here or in the accessories? Well, first thing you do is open this cover and we do this, and you flip this latch, which pulls the belt off the cleaner head. This is one of the last vacuums on the market that has a rubber belt. It is common to change this belt about every 3 to 6 months. If you're not doing that, you are neglecting your machine and you will wear out this brush roller prematurely. And we can see the fan, and there's a set of switches right here. This machine is actually a 2-speed machine. So when we put the hand tools on, we're actually going to put it into its higher mode. And in the shop, we'll talk a little bit about that high mode and the damage it can cause with prolonged use. Let's go ahead and turn it on and see how much working vacuum a Kirby gets. Granted, we are at about 7,000 feet above sea levels, so we're over a mile above sea level, so my numbers might vary from somebody at sea level. Well, 25 inches of working vacuum and 29 sealed are amongst some of the lowest numbers I've ever tested on the channel. It is a little bit better than the previous machine that I had tested, which scored around 20. So I think that's because this is a newer fan and this is a newer version than the last one I reviewed. But again, those numbers are about the same. And this is on high. Remember, when you have this nozzle on right here, you're actually using the lower setting, so you're not getting quite as high of numbers. Now let's talk about the hand tools. The included accessories themselves by themselves are 1.25 inches, and they're a really good set of accessories. In fact, I'd say the Kirby dusting brush is one of my favorite tools. That being said, as you'll see later in the suction numbers, it doesn't really have the numbers to make those tools useful, unfortunately. All right, we're going to talk about stair cleaning ability with a Kirby, or lack thereof. Now you can put the hand tools on, but it says just in the manual is that you're somehow going to pick this up, and this thing's pretty heavy. Again, we're talking like 25 pounds on there, and somehow do the stairs. And as you can see, it is wider than most stairs. That's how you're supposed to do the stairs. And as you can see, this quite restricts the airflow of the bag. Welcome to the in the shop section of the Kirby. Let's talk about taking apart and what is inside here, the guts and all that stuff. Well, it is complicated and there is a lot of stuff going on in here that probably doesn't need to be going on in here. But again, this was designed in the 80s and is still produced today basically. So I think the first thing we're going to talk about is the dirty air fan. That is something that's going to need to be replaced at some point. That is something that is going to leak. The silicone seal around the fan is going to leak and need to be redone. And typically you're going to have to hire a professional for that. The next is that fan can also deform if you use the tools too often. So if you use the tools for 45 minutes to an hour, you can start to cause a lot of heat on that fan, since again it's running in that higher speed that it's not really designed to run in. And that can cause deformation in the fan, and we see that. There's plenty of documentation about that. Next, let's just talk real briefly about the way that this is, because it's blowing into the bag. That bag hose will eventually leak and again need to be replaced. So expect 5-10 years after owning this, you will need service. And let's just talk a little bit about the life expectancy. A lot of people expect these things to last forever, and they're just not going to do that. We're starting to see a lot of the early Centria machines start to fail. They're getting motor bearing failure. That's very, very common. And that's something just to be mindful of, is that these machines, after about the G4, were not built of the same quality. And that was a long time ago. So in the past 20-some years, they haven't been built as well as they were the previous generations. So just because your grandmother had a Kirby from the 80s that lasted doesn't mean this one is going to last. Now, this is also produced by a different Kirby company. And my understanding is the lifetime rebuild's gone. And things are not necessarily built in the US. There's a lot of Mexican parts in here. But there's still a large amount of American-made stuff in here, so keep that in mind. Next, let's talk about the transmission. The thing gets out of tune every once in a while. The handle fork will need adjustment and lubrication. Again, you'll need a professional to do that. And then there is the pedal failure. That pedal is just going to fall out of there. It was originally pressed in there with a different type of metal. They cheapened the metal out, and now they all come loose. Again, those are all problems that started in the G5, and here we are in basically what would be considered the generation 12 of the same machine. So this, I say generation 12, G3 would be the first generation of this design. Again, those are big things. That means this is going to probably need, in 5 or 10 years, $200 plus worth of work. At least that's what these items all mixed up with labor typically tend to cost in 2024. Who knows what that will be with inflation. So that number is higher. Again, I wouldn't be surprised. And of course, lastly, this still has a belt. For some darn reason, this still has a belt, and that needs to be replaced about every 3 to 6 months. All the debris moves through the belt, so it gets pretty cut up, and it will start to slip, and it can actually prematurely wear that brush roller. So if you're not changing your belt, your brush roller is going to wear out, and it's not going to spin at the right speed, and you're going to have all sorts of weird problems from that. As far as actually fixing everything, I actually really like working on Kirby's, and they're actually really easy to fix. Even though they have a million different types of screws, once you've done a few of them, they're pretty straightforward. Oh, there is one other thing, the cluster switch. The cluster switch is how this machine came into my possession. This is one that is a current model that was under warranty and came into me, and guess what? The cluster switch went bad, because that cluster switch is super complicated. There's no actual solid-state circuitry going on in there. So you have a bunch of mechanical switches and relays, and those all go bad. Again, that's going to be a $200 repair if it's not in warranty. So that concludes my in the shop segment. All right, we're going to do a carpet pickup test. We have the usual fresh pet hair, breakfast cereal, and cat litter. We've got the Kirby adjusted right for this carpet. Let's see how it does. This is also going to serve as an audio test. You're going to hear the real sound of the machine as it runs, and if you have headphones, headphone warning, this thing is loud. Gonna need to zoom the lens out to show you the full story here. Well, first of all, it did snowplow quite a bit of the breakfast cereal. It's kind of to be expected. The cat litter. Cat litter, just half of it got like ground in the carpet. I don't know if it comes out on camera, but yeah, there's cat litter in the carpet. And then let's see if there's any pet hair. A little bit of pet fuzz right there, but mostly it snowplowed that. It did all right with the surface level of fine sand, so it did that. Now here's the crux. A lot of that afterwards actually won't get sucked up. The thing about this nozzle is, you notice it's square and it's not rounded in the inside. That means a couple of things. One, there was a lot of air turbulence, and this was designed before they really understood air turbulence with vacuum cleaners, but there's a lot of turbulence in here. Two, because of that turbulence and the lack of power in this motor, it doesn't have the ability to pick up some of these heavier objects. So a lot of times it's like grinding things back into the carpet, sucking some of it up, leaving some of it in the head. And anybody who's had a Kirby will attest to that there's always crap in there. So that's something to be aware of with the Kirby, is if you have heavier objects, it's not meant to pick that stuff up. Overall, not the worst performer considering the numbers. We're going to talk quickly about Kirby's hard floor cleaning capability, or lack thereof. So, you notice this has a metal bottom. This is not for delicate floors. I put this on some tile, but you can hear this thing move properly. That's my lapel microphone you're hearing that from. Now, I want to show how this thing performs on hard floor and why I don't personally recommend it. And, well, there's stuff just scattered everywhere all over my floor here. So that's not particularly great. And of course, it's probably scratching the machine and the floor at the same time. So in conclusion, would I recommend the Avalir 2 or the Avalir Platinum, or really any of the Kirbys? Well, if the price is right, meaning you got it for under $100, sure, absolutely, why not? If for some reason you were going to pay a sticker for this, absolutely not. Not even at half sticker would I recommend this. There are other vacuums in the $500 to $700 price range that vastly outperform this, will outlast this, and of course be a better value. Next, I have to talk about the warranty. Warranty is only 3 years on this, where the rest of the industry typically has 5 to 10. So it's a little bit shy in that department as well, especially for the price. And for the price of this, you're probably 3/4 of the way towards buying a built-in or a central vacuum. And as you can see, Oreo is not amused. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment below. And if you're a Kirby salesman, I'm terribly sorry. I just made your job a lot harder. There are other opportunities out there. Go find them, bro. Have yourself a wonderful day.